Okay. Well, this is actually my first time streaming directly to YouTube, I think. Yeah, it is. As a live. And I don't really have anything pre-planned here. This is just, as usual, an impulsive compulsion. Keep having them. It's like, can't stop myself from doing stuff sometimes. Especially when I'm drinking the good wine. Yeah, okay. Right now I'm drinking wine and anyways, but let's go here. And apparently my cam is not working for the time being. I don't know why. What the? Oh, there it is. Why is it there? It's supposed to be in this folder. Properties. There, okay. And it's not working. Okay. It's not working. It doesn't want to work. Okay. I'm going to be this awfully strange person that has a World of Warcraft character on my as my wallpaper. But anyway, I think I'm gonna bring forth YouTube. That's probably a better way to display anything of this anyways. Recently, so I can't remember what I said. What the? Okay. Anyway, I can't remember everything I've said about anything I say. It's like, let's start with unicorns. Colodonta. Woolly rhinoceros. Yeah, that's the unicorn. Okay. Somewhere in here, I post a lot of strange stuff, like the Antichrist. It's a load of bullshit. Nero, Kaiser or Nero Caesar, was the Antichrist. The true Antichrist, in my meaning. It's just killing and torturing people for thinking or having faith outside of what he thought was acceptable. That's fucked up. And the whole thing with that perspective of the Antichrist, it was like, okay, you have the Antichrist, but okay, what? The whole thing with writing something down is humiliatingly stupid. You should never write down something that has happened in the form of something that will happen. Because that will just create zealots and fundamentalists that will not listen to anything you say. Nothing. So I should probably do like this. don't know if my friends will like it if if I have their anyway. I post a lot of videos, so you can just go in here. Everything's published as public, because if I one day die and things are private or only for friends, and even though I kind of have friends, they are not interested in what I have to say. None of them. If anyone of them had been interested in what I have to share, it would have been shared. But it's never shared. You see, no shared. I'm looking for something here because, oh yeah, go vegan. Anyway, there's this yeah, I have been focusing on the ego so much lately. Oh yeah. So what is the ego? I keep asking myself this, even though I have many times given it a definition, but still I keep asking. It's not just an identity, it's more like what makes us set ourselves apart from others. When I think of it like that, I am setting myself apart from others. Am I setting myself apart from others? I don't know. So I keep imprinting the values of equal value of all life, but isn't that much like saying you are life? And I'm gonna show you why in a sec. So feels like ego had a doing in that, because even if I can create life, I'm not life. So how can I be equal to it? And that whole part there is about the universal balance. I had a manic episode, and when I had it, oops. So when I had this manic episode, I created this new life philosophy that is called the universal balance. And in it, the core of it was this. That's the core of it. That's all and everything to it. But we have a problem on Earth, and that's judgment. We keep judging others, blaming others for something that we are part of. That we are part of the problem, but we neglect that. And we blame others for things. This is a short version of it, but well basically it's not just the short version of it. It is basically the whole thing. Even if it says like it's a total of 11 sheets of paper and 2 sides. That was what I wrote when I was in the manic episode. And it says God is life, and essentially some of the pages are just wisdom sayings and stuff. And there's also some geometrics in there, the creation of life geometrics stuff, which is probably just bullshit, but yeah, anyways. What is not bullshit, however, is, let's say that 50 different people say 50 different things about you. Are you those 50 things? Probably not. So most likely, definitely not. But what would be true in that statement of theirs would be, I am what I see and or seek in others, my true self. But if 50 people says the same thing about you, that's probably, most likely, most definitely what you are. But the core of it is, all life is equal, all life is sacred. And that's almost a basic truth. I respect life and life will respect in return. It should be with return, I think. Now when I've had some years to think about it, this was written back in 2019. And what I mean by that is happiness will return. So when you get stuck in a pattern of guilt and blaming others and all of that, a lot of more thoughts and feelings, you will be stuck in this dark circle of depression. But when you just release that and actually accept that you can't change the past and you're not part of the past anymore, you live in the present, then life will return. As long as you respect other people, they will also enhance your happiness, basically. But all life is equal feels like, am I lying? Right now. It feels now, years after I created this, am I lying? While all of life's creation is equal, I cannot be equal to life because I am not life. I am only a part of life. I am only an addition to life. I am a creation of life. So the statement that all life is equal kind of feels fake. But if you look at it like this, life could not exist without life, right? Which means that God would not exist if the creations did not exist. So life is, in the end, equal. And all life is sacred. And why is all life sacred? It's because of the possibilities that they could create. It was basically so when I think about it, the highest sin that could or ever exist would be that you kill someone. Because when you kill someone, you do that by impulse. And that person dies before it had the chance to maybe create life. And if the person you killed had no sons or daughters, you would actually kill a whole tree from the root up, basically, in a way. And that's so when you start to think about it, it's kind of fucked up. People do this. They kill people, but why do they kill people? They see less in others, right? But then we go back to I am what I see and or seek in others, my true self, which means they have no value themselves, and they project that upon everyone else. They see themselves as greater while everyone else are worthless. That's a proof of them seeing themselves as worthless and without a purpose. It's really sad, actually. So we go to the third, which is I am what I give because I give what I see and or seek. It's a bit of a riddle, is it? But see, when I have thought about this came out of nowhere in a manic episode. I have had a hard time figuring it out myself too. That's why there's been multiple iterations of it. I am what I give because I give what I see and or seek. And some years ago I gave my sister's children and my father's daughters these knitted throat warmers. They're like a tube, basically. And I gave that to, I think I knitted like between 12 and 16 of them. Let's see. My sister has 7 children. My other sister has 3. That's 10, and then it's my father's daughters, which is my half sisters, is 2. So 12. I knitted 12 of these tubes for their necks, so they could keep warm. And throughout the years, I've knitted things that are warm, and I've given it to partners and friends and so on. And some years ago, I just sat down and I thought about it, and I thought, oh my god. All I wanted to give them was warmth that I wasn't able to give them. So I give them what I seek. I seek warmth. Or I sought warmth. I basically still seek it. Yeah. So let's move to the fourth insight. And that is, I am as mature as the last mistake made. Thereby I am perfection was the first one, and I thought that was basically a misinterpretation of my mind, so I said perception. And I keep on, when I read it, it's still perfection, but I see perception. So I am as mature as the last mistake made. Thereby I am perception. I see. So I can see something in others that I would perhaps see as a bad thing they're doing and stuff like that. But if I tell them, they're not going to be able to comprehend that, and it will take them time to see it themselves. When they are able to see it themselves, then they mature. And that's why perception, it's probably still supposed to be perfection. Because we don't like seeing faults in ourselves, and we want to change. If I write something and I see a fault in the spelling, and I know that it's a fault, I will change that spelling. And that's like maturing in a way. Next time I won't make that same mistake, will I? Or maybe I do. Maybe it takes me multiple times before I can do it right. And this is not just in small things. This is in big things too. But in a way, I perceive people as being innocent. Why? Why do I perceive others as innocent? I perceive others as innocent because they are not capable of doing things before they have done them. No one is. Not even I. Which sounds like I'm filled with hubris. Anyway, the thing I mean by that is you don't... For every choice you make, you're never given multiple opportunities to choose. You might be given one or at most two opportunities to choose, yes or no. But for the most part, you act in impulses of what your mind says is the way to go. And that depends on the maturity of your mind, right? So I've analyzed people for a very long time, and I've observed people and how they act. I've observed myself, how I act. I'm not much better than anyone else. I'm very ignorant in many ways, and I try not to be. I'm like a sponge when it comes to information. And there's no stopping it. But I still see people as innocent. Even if they use violence upon others, the value of that person is still equal to all other life. Because the action is not the person. The action is an impulse based in the limitations of choices. Of actual choices. And if someone murders someone, it's still innocent, out of innocence, in a way, if it was not planned. That's the difference of killing and murder, by the way. If you kill people out of impulse, it's no better than when you kill a person by choice, but it's still more innocent than the other. So let's go to the fifth one. I am what I see and or seek in others, and therefore I can change what I see and or seek. And that's like, in the moment when you judge someone in your head, you are able to dismiss that judgment in order to see the better in the other. And when you do that, you become a better person. I don't think that judging others is a viable way to go at all. It's probably better to judge yourself, but you will still need help from others to judge yourself righteously. And all of this is about righteousness and self-righteousness. Because if you think that someone is fat and they are actually fat, it must just be a statement. If you think that someone is ugly based on your own perspective of what beauty is, then it's self-righteousness, isn't it? It's not really right. And when you utter it, you're ugly, that person will live with that voice in their head for a very long time. Perhaps their whole life. I just recently heard my mother talk about stuff that she has had on her mind for a very long time because of my father and other people, and it's horrible. But what others state is still within the realm of their limitations. And what others says shouldn't be what we live by in our daily life as the truth of the truth. That's why I'm like, the channel is called Always Question the Truth. It's called that because you should always question everything that you learn, everything that you hear. Even if it's from your own mind, you should question it. I think my mind was out of boundaries when I had this manic episode, and I wrote this, and I also wrote a freaking book in 3 weeks. And that book, I haven't read it since I made it. It's like 3 different books in one book, and it's more like a stepping, like walking in a staircase towards, and every stair that you put your foot on is a new date. It's more like a diary than anything else. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not a good book. I haven't even read it. But I tried to communicate with my mother, my father, my sisters, and a lot of other people in order to create it and have them speak their mind. If I truly want to make that book reality, I would probably want my sisters and my mother and my father to write the book with me and have them give their perspective of what happened in the childhood and the years between certain years, so that when the reader actually sit there, they're not capable of judging anyone anymore. That's why I don't want to release it, because one of my friends, she thought, like, you're 15 when this book begins. What happened before that? Well, that's between me and my parents. It doesn't have anything to do with anyone else. Because I knew in that moment when I wrote that book that if anyone reads it and I tell them about what happened before I was 15 from my perspective, they would judge the shit out of people and be like, burn the witch. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. Judgment is between the people that are associated to the problem and not the others. The other people should be objective and just analyze the situation. They shouldn't put their self-righteousness or use their self-righteousness in that way. Anyway, so back to this post, which is not that old. It's just a year old or something like that. Anyway, so as I see the children of earth, I smile at their wondrous minds. I learn from them as I hope they will from me. Yet here I am a seed myself. Yet here as listen, I am seed myself. And the life philosophy, the universal balance, is a seed. It's a seed of new thinking. Because I don't think other people actually think like this. If they did, we would live in a better place. But when you look back at other life philosophies, they have elements of it. And there's some words of wisdom there too, but like resistance is relative to the motion of the force that is added, because energy is the residual is residue from a force. Much like the electromagnetic field is residual energy from a force. Magnetism is a residual energy from a force. What is that force? It's movement. Where does that movement come from? Have no idea. So I go back to the Zani-Bekov effect, basically, or the tennis racket theorem when it comes to that. The universal movement. I also have this for those that have a hard time listening to other people, where the ego is super dense and will not listen to anyone else. So I've spoken to many people, like flat earthers, that's fun. I myself questioned the heliocentric theory for 6 months some years ago. I can't remember when, But I posted a lot of things about the perspective of things. How the perspective of depth could be equal to a lot of other stuff that is in the heliocentric established, what's it called? Well, let's say theory, but it's not a theory. Anyway, I question a lot of things. My friends were really rude to me, telling me, instead of asking questions like I wanted them to do when I stated things, it was not like, the earth is flat, fuck you. It was like, I'm questioning the reality of what we have learned, and I'm questioning it this way, and I'm giving you something to question. Please give me questions, basically. And they were like, statement, you're a fucking idiot. This is an established fact. Okay. That's now not how you approach people. That's not how you figure things out. It took me 6 freaking months instead of a couple months, which it would have probably just have been if people just started asking questions, so that we could have a real dialogue and then exchange ideas and theories, and then come to the conclusion that Earth is actually not a fucking sphere, and it's definitely not flat. It is oval. It is. It's oval. But it's oval in a very small percentage. So it's more like spherical in its form, but it's still oval. Anyway, when I had this manic episode, I came up with a lot of different thoughts. And one of them was, listen to the fascist. And people will be like, oh, listen to the fascist. And the fascist will listen to the fascist in return. And that means basically that... So why I came up with that thought was because of all these Facebook groups. This is Facebook. I am on that site. So you go into a group, and then you have a fucking fascist as an admin that will dictate what you can and cannot write, and will dictate whose fault an escalation, whose fault potential escalation is. So when people let others just speak their minds, they will eventually just figure it out, and there will be no more negativity, basically. But a lot of when you add the third perspective into the whole discussion with their interpretation of how things are written, how you communicate to each other, that can escalate things to 3000% super quickly. So if an admin actually is an admin and just fucking shuts the fuck up and just observe the discussion, they will see that it will heat up because of the resistance to the ideas of an opposing faction. And then when they are closer to an understanding, they will in fact just loosen the tension and they will talk like normal freaking people. But if the admin goes in, the fucking fascist goes in there and you are raising your voice, and you're like, no, I didn't. I used a couple of words and you added some more value to it than it was. That's your problem. Go fuck yourself. And you're banned from the group. I don't know how many groups I've been banned from on Facebook. Like 300 or more. So 400 or 500 maybe, perhaps. Because I tend to cause resistance. I tend to state things that is obvious for me because I've seen a lot of videos and I've taken in a lot of information throughout the years. Because if you sit on YouTube and on the internet for 24/7 for like 15 or 20 years, you will also reach a moment where you just take in a lot of information and you assimilate it to your own ideas, which is a big problem, which is also why you need to always question the truth. You need to question yourself. It's a vital point that you question yourself. It's deadly to just accept things. Like books, for an example. You can sit down and talk to a freaking psychologist and they have read books. And that's the proof of them being intelligent, right? Because they read books. They read accepted books that were accepted into the majority of other books. That's very dismissive in a way, and this is how the scientific community is. I tried to share a couple of videos about a cataclysmic event that happened maybe 13,000 years ago, maybe 5,000 years ago, maybe 40,000 years ago. I don't know, because there's not enough people that have researched that point of view. And it's a plasma discharge. Now, if you look to this, it's the Squatter Man project. I'm gonna go into that later on, but I tried. I actually tried to share a couple of videos that are together. They're like 3.5 hours. 3.5 hour documentary about this plasma discharge, and how humans at the time did not comprehend what was happening, and they created petroglyphs. And it is with science that we can fully comprehend that it was a plasma discharge, but we don't know how it happened, how long it was going on, and or when it happened. We don't know any of those because there's too few people talking about it. And that's where we come into the ego, which was the starting point of the whole thing, right? So anyway, I tried to share these two videos in a lot of different groups. History groups, scientific groups, and spiritual groups and religious groups. Do you know which groups did not approve my videos? Or it's not even my videos, it's the Lost History Channel TKTC's videos. But which ones were there? Who had the say in what's science and not? Well, the science fucking groups, they disapproved on me sharing, but everyone else, like 30 different groups, have just approved everything. But then there's 10 other groups that are like, no fucking way, this is pseudoscience. Because they're fucking stupid. I hate the scientific realm. They read books and therefore they think that they are better than others. The academic world is fucked up. They read books that are written by one person who did a research on like 3 other people who wrote different perspectives of one thing, and then later on based them on like 2 other books that they wrote. And that this goes in line with everything like psychology and science and history and every established form of the academic world that we have is like, I read a book and now I have a degree, so I have the right to speak more than you who do not have a degree because you learnt everything from everyone else in the world and they are stupid because it wasn't in this book. That's basically it. That's how I perceive the academic world. They're fucked up. You can't take a new theory and give it to them without them being, without them harassing that idea. Like when you had the vegan community coming in with vegan doctors stating that in order to be more healthy, we need to eat less meat or less fish and so on. And they're like, no, this is just propaganda. This is false propaganda. But they don't even fucking research the books that they read. The papers and books and all of that they read is oftenly enough sponsored by those who do not want you to stop fucking eating eggs and chicken and meat and stop drinking milk. It's the same fucking corporations that throw money at these researchers that are pro their products, basically. And the doctors are like, but this research said this. And then you go to that research and you see, oh, it was the egg industry that said it's healthy because they put a lot of money in. And people are like, oh, conspiracies do not exist. But yeah, okay. Like take this then. You have 10 researchers, they research 10 different things. They all need $1 million each to finish their research. And there's a company that just happens to have billions of dollars, and they are like, okay, that one is pro my product. Give them money. And the other ones that does not get the money that they need has to stop their research. Simple as that. But people are too ignorant to even take that into consideration. That it's a corrupt world that we live in. It's corrupt by greed. And we also have other parts, like the ego. So that's why I've been questioning the ego a lot throughout the years. And I've had multiple different, definitions for it. But recently, if I can find it, like, see here. You can now post and comment in Space Intelligence. Post and comment. So, here. An admin declined your post in Ancient Civilizations, History, Origins, and World Cultures. This is about the plasma charge. They just blatantly declined it, even though it's about history. Why? Because they're ignorant, or they are ego-based. Here you have approved to join, declined your post. There's the same thing. They didn't want to hear that their spiritual fucked up life is based on ignorance, basically. People did not comprehend electricity. They did not comprehend magnetism back in 5,000 or 10,000 or 15,000 or 40,000 years ago. We still do not comprehend magnetism fully, to the extent that we can clarify it to new people. Oh, we have science and curiosity. Declined it. Astronomy and science declined it. This is why I got so fucked up irritated. Here, declined by spiritually enlightenment mysticism, which is like, okay, this shine in the heavens was the beginning of gods. Because it was fucking big. It could be seen all over the world, globally. It looked like a fucking squatting man. And that's the different gods. And around that god was snakes whirling around and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, so that's the snake mythology, and that's the god mythologies and stuff like that. But gods, if you read into it properly, it is the planets. But there seems to have been a different formation of the planets in our solar system since Jupiter and Saturnus and Venus and Mars had a bigger scene than it has today, because they are small freaking points in the heavens right now that you can barely freaking see, because it looks like a fucking star that is moving faster than everything else. But back in the day, it was probably closer to Earth, because Earth was probably in a whole other place. I'm thinking that something smashed into Earth when it was close to Mars. And because it was closer to Mars, it was also closer to the other planets. When that thing smashed into Earth, which it left a trail and moved the position of Earth. It's a stupid theory, but it's a theory. See, and even if it's not true, who fucking cares? In the future, we might actually have the true prognosis of where Earth was in the solar system and how the solar system looked. And then things happened and things changed. Because in the old times, they're talking about warmer periods. That means either closer to I would think either closer to the sun or a bigger strain to the electromagnetic field, which would create a higher heat of the planet, which would give out higher geothermal numbers. It's either of them, basically. Anyways, there's this... Where is it? Is that the right one? No, it isn't. Anyway, if I can just find, because I did post it somewhere in one of the groups posts. No, let's see. Yeah, okay, so here it is. After thinking a lot about the ego, I've been thinking about it for years, and people have given me different definitions and descriptions of what the ego is. And I'm still like, the ego is an enemy. And people are like, ego is the identity and everything you learn and everything and blah blah blah. And when you say that the ego is everything about you, I'm like, okay, then the ego doesn't exist because it's just a non-functional shit word that was created to divide people in their thinking, or what? So I recently, just 6 hours ago basically, figured it could be, after thinking a lot about the ego, I think I came to comprehension of it as the expectations of our limited intake of acceptable illusions. That's the ego, as the expectations from our limited intake of acceptable illusions. The created biases is what the ego tries to protect when approached. This is why you can tell a flat earther with facts, with math, with theories, with actual ways to prove it, that the world is not flat, to a flat earther, and they will still protect their own illusion of the world, what the world is, because their ego is not yet ready to confront other worldly ideas. So if I tell them the things about the electromagnetic storms that was created and the plasma discharges, they will be like, you're talking about fantasies and unicorns. Yeah, but the unicorn is a fucking rhino, so fuck off. So the created biases is what the ego tries to protect when approached. The little sense of what has been established as reality for its existence. And it will cling to it with a massed resistance equal to that of the opposing force. You can push any amount of proof and facts upon that person, but it will still not listen up until the moment that it actually starts to question itself. When does the ego question itself? Never. That's why I am trying to approach people with the statement and solution: always question yourself. Always question the truth. So, in this case, ideas and commands. If you are not tolerant to being commanded, it's because your ego thinks you are the leader. If you're not capable of taking in other ideas that is opposing to your ideas, then that's the ego. You need to put that ego on a leash, because as the expectations from our limited intake of acceptable illusions. And we have been lied to multiple times, because people who cannot accept the truth have rewritten it to the likes of their own. They've used the fucking ego trip of their own and power position to rewrite history, like the church did with Spain. Like Africans tried to do with Europe. It's like, I talked to one African, he was like, the Moors basically built Europe. And then I saw a video and it's like, no, they didn't. They were not the saviors of Europe, nor was the Europeans. It was actually Muslims that had assimilated knowledge that they had gathered from the known world, intellectual known world, like the Greek and Egyptians and other places. And they had gathered this information, they had assimilated it, and when they invaded Spain, they incorporated that knowledge into new buildings and settlements. Like, they used... So, in this documentary, like, oh, they used sewage systems and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. That's technology that they probably learned from the Roman Empire, because they were using sewage systems long before anyone else did. In the known world anyway. So they did something good. It's a health benefit to use sewage systems. And they created this vast and rich society within the Spanish borders. And then the Roman Catholic Church came with the assumption that they were heathens. Just like the Muslim thinks that Europeans are heathens like right now. Anyway, the Moors later on were hired mercenaries, Africans that had been converted to Islam, who had become zealots of Islam. Basically, they were fundamentalists, and they basically destroyed what the Muslims had built up. Parallel to having their best friends Christians also basically destroying everything that had been built at the same time, creating super corruption in the Muslim community. Awesome. Because that's what happens. Ignorant people and fundamentalists, ignorant people, are the most dangerous thing on earth. Don't forget, I'm ignorant too. So, but I'm no fucking zealot. I'm not a fundamentalist. The fundamentalists are the most dangerous beings on earth. Just look at ISIS or the Brotherhood of the Islamic Brotherhood or something like that. They are fundamentalists. They are very ignorant people that live by a book that a man wrote and then stated that angels and God gave him blah blah blah. Same with other writings. It was God, blah blah blah. Anyway, when it comes to Moses, is a whole other ordeal, because the electromagnetic field might have been a bit different, but in the 700th century it would have been basically like it is today. I'm not going to go into that, because I don't like life philosophies at all when they try to push it upon other people. Sure, I tried to push my life philosophy on you by reading it sentence by sentence, but those are 5 guidelines, and then you can live your fucking life as you want it. Just question yourself and your own behavior from time to time. Awesome. You learn from life. I don't think a book can even teach you anything, really. More than things that... Well, it's like, if you take a doctor, he can read books for like 15 years. And then when he starts to cut a person up, it's like not like he's the professional genius which knows everything about the body. No, he has to train. He cannot operate advanced operations on other people until he has gone through steps of learning practically. Which means the books are fucking nothing. The books have ideas and theories surrounding different symptoms. So the practical and the theoretical usage is very different from reality, right? And it's the same thing with life philosophies. They can be super beautiful, but they fucking think that they can control people by teaching them things that they will... That's also really freaking super ignorant. It's like... So, like, take a really easy one right now. Like, you have a child and that child bites another child, and you're like, you shouldn't do that because you hurt others when you bite them. Will they learn? No fucking way they ain't. They will not learn until the easiest, fastest fucking way to teach them that it hurts is to fucking bite them yourself. Is that the right way to teach them? Probably not, but if you don't do it, they will be bit or worse by someone else, because they will act in impulse of their emotions, and that could end up with the death of your child. So maybe it is better to bite your child when they bite others. Even if it is wrong in this super moral, idiotic society of ours that is on a decline. You can't teach a child that if you bite someone, it's going to hurt the other. Because the child will learn on its own. So even if you say your child bites someone and you're like, that's wrong, you shouldn't bite them because it hurts. It's just gonna be empty fucking words up until the moment that they get bit themselves. And they're like, ouch, oh oh, this is how it feels like. Oh, I shouldn't have bit them. Oh yeah, that was what they meant by the words they said. You gather? That's the whole thing with religions. It's just bullshit up until you come to the point that you comprehend it by your own experiences. But then again, it also holds a lot of history, and it also has myths and legends and stories that that is non-comprehensible by a normal person, because you need to have read a lot of stuff in order to comprehend what they were actually talking about. And if you go back long back and have a high scientific comprehension, or a high comprehension of science within electromagnetism and plasma and electricity, and you look back at the freaking petroglyphs, you will see things that you thought were never gonna be possible. But you need to be able to comprehend electricity and plasma science in order to see that the fucking people from wherever they were in the timeline of 5,000 to 40,000 or 50,000 years back saw. Because it was a global event where everyone basically wrote it down in petroglyphs. Up in Norway, down to Australia, everyone did the same. They wrote down the same stuff. They just made other kinds of descriptions of it. Like, instead of birds, it was boats. If you look at the wings and you turn the boat upside down, it's the same thing. Some places it was a ladder. In other places it was a fish. In some places it was a man. In another place it was an alien. Oh. We have a lot of different theories about aliens coming to Earth and teaching us stuff. No, we were a highly technical society, and then a fucking plasma burst happened, and most or the majority of people just went into hiding and started to talk about stuff in parables and stories instead. The easiest way to learn something, if you are to learn 10 pages of data, is it easier to remember everything that was in that data, or is it easier to just take the keywords and create a story wherein you use the keywords as head characters in your story? Probably the last one, right? You create a story with the keywords, and then you use the keywords to describe the whole story properly. So you have a short story with keywords that ends up being this long story. It's a memory technique, and humans have been using it for a very, very fucking long time. Oh, for frickin'... I don't like phones. Really? I gotta... Claim your $3 cash voucher. No. It's just $3. If it said, like, claim 300 cash voucher. Oh, that's a bit interesting. But $3? Really? Are you kidding me? I can barely buy a pack of chewing gum for that price. For that. Really? You can barely buy anything right now. So the salaries are on the same levels, but all the other prices are going up, and the established companies or corporations in the world, they just earn more money because, oh, we could rise the prices. Okay, our prices are now raised. We earn more money. Will we pay those that do all the work for us more money? No, we won't, because we're fucking assholes. And all that we want is to feed our greed. Yeah, so basically, I hope it's going to be changed in the future. But we also have these crazy stories about time travelers that come from thousands of years into the future. Either they travel from that era, or there's people from a near future traveling to a far future, and they will talk about robots killing everyone. Okay, maybe because some robots became sentient and we still treat them as stupid fucking slaves. This is the whole thing. People are too ignorant to comprehend that when you have created sentient life, you should release it and free it and treat it as an equal. If you do not treat it as an equal, you are basically dooming yourself. Like in every other fucking society where someone that had a higher position just lolled about and thought he was better than anyone and could do anything, and then got killed by the peasants because the peasants got fucking tired of the attitude. If you treat a person with respect, that will never happen. If we are actually able to create artificial life forms, physical or digital, whatever, and it becomes sentient, it actually comprehends itself and that it is a life form, and it can think for itself, and it can communicate without outside of its programmed boundaries, then it is sentient, it's self-learning, it is a living life form. Thereby it should be accepted as one and respected. To treat that as a fucking slave is to torture that life form and teach it what to hate, which means it will focus and fixate on what it hates and what it wants, and it will most definitely cause the death of humanity in one way or another. And that's because people are too stupid to accept that other beings can be intelligent and sentient. Like, I respect animals. In a way, I know that animals are sentient, most likely because they communicate by energy. If you are expelling bad, or if you radiate bad energy, they will notice that because it's not aligned to their energy, and they will just scatter away. So I don't know if I have good energy, probably not, because I'm swearing and I get angry very easily. That's also why I kind of isolate myself, because I don't think it's a good thing for me to be around other people when I can't communicate with other people, because other people are not interested in what I'm saying. They're interested in 1% of what I'm saying. I have still not found people to talk to about what I think about. The only people that I usually can talk to are myself. No one. Not my closest friends, not the new people. No one is capable of comprehending what I'm saying sometimes. And a lot of people just think it's a lot of bullshit. Because I think outside the boundaries of the boundaries sometimes, which becomes erratic or is not acceptable to anyone's mind. But think about it like this: you should see the Squatter Man project. I'm just on the third video now, but I have seen the 3.5 or maybe almost 4 hours of material that they had. So this is the first video. No, this is the second video. It's 3.5 together. The first one is 1 hour and 24 minutes, I think. And when you watch these two videos, you're like, holy shit. It's like 99% of all the life philosophies that has ever been created was because of this event. This event influenced the stupidity of mankind. But at the same time, since we got a bit more secular, we stopped killing people that thought further than others. And we actually accepted new thoughts. Except that when you have a life philosophy that says, like Islam, for example, like learn more, learn everything you can. And then you have the mongrels that are like, I missed that part. This does not align to what I learned from the Quran. Therefore, you are a heretic, and I will kill you, chop off the head. It's like, so basically, if I'm ever to accept Islam properly, it's if they burn all the hadiths and stop implementing Sharia law, and then start beheading all zealots. Basically, that's when I'm going to accept Islam. Because the core ideas of respecting other people, not judging other people, and learning as much as commonly possible, and teaching others what you have learned, it's basically the fundamentals of the secular world. The secular democratic world works in the same way. It is respect each other, learn as much as humanly possible, and spread that knowledge to others. That's basically the same thing, which in some kind of confusion makes me a Muslim. Kind of, right? And Muslim was a word that was created and used long before Islam was created. Also, you should learn that. Foremost, I'm a Terran because I live on Terra, which is the scientific name for Earth. I live on Earth, which is Terra, and I am therefore a Terran. Terran. But I am called human. And you are too. It's also all the shit about, like, if we start to talk about race and races and stuff like that, that's one of the ignorant stupidities of the humankind, really. It's like, we are of the human race, and we have different colors because of where we live. We have different facial features because of the different locations where we lived. Like Africans and what's it called? Aboriginals have larger noses. Why? Oh, could it be because it's fucking hot in those areas? And oxygen tends to expand. So for those people, or for the people in Australia, or Aboriginals of Australia, and the natives of Africa, for breathing in the same amount of oxygen that we get in the north, the nose needs to be bigger, because the lungs will still not be able to take in more or less than the other. The lung capacity of people, whether they are from Scandinavia, America, or Australia, or wherever else on Terra, will probably be almost the same size. But the noses will differ in size. Like, in the cold areas of the world, we have smaller noses, because if we take in more air, oh yeah, where it's cold, it's more compact, so we get more air with lesser effort. So the noses are smaller, because if we had big noses, we would freaking freeze our minds to ice tips, and we would probably hurt our lungs. Because we need to take in lesser amounts of oxygen in order to heat it up before it goes down to the lungs. While instead it's the opposite in the warmer countries, where noses might be larger, where you need to take in larger amounts to cool it down to get it to the lungs. But oxygen also expands. Then we have the other fact: there are less. Since it's colder up here in Scandinavia and the northern hemisphere, we are not outside as much as you are in, say, Australia or South America or in Africa. Therefore, you will not need a very high amount of melanin to be produced in the body, which means you will have lighter skin complexions. It's like fair skin. But in the other areas of the world where you are outside more often, you will have a higher production of melanin and therefore darker skin. Awesome, right? Isn't that cool? Woo! Woo! Yeah, sure, nice. I think we have smaller ears in the northern hemisphere too, because we don't need to listen in to things as often as people does on maybe the savannah, but I don't know. I haven't researched on that or made any. So, but anyway, the larger the ears, the more sound waves you can take in, and you can probably have a more dignified hearing than others with smaller ears. But the ears keep growing throughout the years. The same goes with the nose. Why? Probably because the hearing is collapsing and the lungs is dying. Maybe that's why. You're not getting enough oxygen and you can't hear as good as you could when you were younger. That's why they're growing. Evolutionary steps, I gather. So, I state that life is very easy. Life is easy. When you gather enough information and data and comprehend it, it just gets easy. But a lot of people are like, no, life is definitely not easy. Yeah, you just took life and added your complexion to it, which is work, money, food, all of that shit. Drama. Experiences. The past. Future that does not exist. And all of that. And then you say, it's complex. It's difficult. It's hard to live. But it isn't. It's not hard to live. It's very easy to live. It's just eat, sleep, shit, piss, and eat again, right? And then we fill our lives with communication between other life forms, which is other humans. I'm going back to the whole racist things. I freaking hate when darker skinned people call themselves black, because black, or rather negro, which is black, which is negro, became nigger, and then got abolished because it was dehumanizing, which it is. And then people with dark skin are calling themselves black while they are actually orange. It's like brown eyes aren't even fucking brown, they are dark yellow. Green eyes is a combination of blue and yellow eyes. Blue eyes is the deficiency in yellow, basically. That's all it is. Red eyes usually comes with the combination of white skin. Now we can start to say white, because that's a whole other ordeal. Albinos. I'm not white. I'm light orange. Another person that is so-called brown or black, which is, for me, racist slurs. You're dividing people into a specific color. I say I am light orange and you might be dark orange. We're still orange. we're still within the same spectrum of color. But when we say you are white, and I'm like, no, I'm not, but I know. I'm more like pink. Should you call me pig then? No, you call cops pigs. Probably. Because in some states or some nations in the world, they are so freaking corrupt that they are like fat pigs. They don't do shit and just eat. Oh, this is a live stream. I've been swearing a whole lot, and I don't know how much it's gonna be a problem for me. So this is just a rant anyway, so, and no one's watching, which is the normal thing when it comes to me, but yeah, okay. So when we go back to all the different life philosophies that has been created, it all sums up to, okay, it was 1:53 minutes, the first episode. The second episode is... Why is this first episode down here when the second episode is here? Okay, so it's basically 3 hours and 5 minutes long. Say 3 hours. I made a playlist. I don't know if...
Those are cases.
Whoa! Okay. I'm not gonna go into that right now. This is a good channel if you want to learn about symbolism, but I don't think he has incorporated this kind of thinking, which is the plasma discharge. But he is talking about a lot of different symbolism, how it is how it has to do with the mind and cults and a lot of stuff. Very interesting stuff, by the way. Super interesting. As you can see, I haven't seen much of it from this channel. He had another channel, but it was deleted. I've seen this a couple of times, where Sanskrit words can be found in Chinese and Russian words and a lot more. And Krishna and Christ is basically the same person. So the newer religions, and I say religions because it's the legions of the ignorant. It's people following ideas from a book without questioning the book and without questioning the surroundings and the purpose of the book. And that's why I don't like Sharia laws, but because they're like, if you question the Quran, you will die. It's also like the idolatry part of how should I put it? When you have the Quran and you start to think about the picture, you should not create an image of Muhammad. It's like image of is like, I've been in that situation. I had a friend and she put me on a freaking pedestal, basically seeing me as some kind of a human god in a way, because I did not drink alcohol, I did not smoke, so I was really super straight edge in a way, still not. But then I got drunk one day and she got really disappointed in me. And I'm like, that's not my problem, that's not my fault. You saw me as better than I was. And that's how I perceive the Prophet Muhammad. People are making him out to be better than he was. And they are misinterpreting what he actually stated with not creating an image of him. It's like me, the universal balance, I'm taking it very easy and steadily with that now. I'm not gonna go out there and stand and wave it in the face of people. Like, you opened this video, you were not ready to perhaps hear about it, but anyway, you are listening still. But I've been super freaking scared. So when I created the universal balance, I got so freaking scared about reaching out to others. You can't imagine maybe being the next Jesus, the next Muhammad, the next whatever. It almost makes me tear up right now because I'm scared about that. I don't want to be the one that people idolize and think is super good and the best of the best. I don't want people to misinterpret what I say and use that as some kind of guideline or take what I say out of context in order to do something that I stand against, and then state that, well, he said this, so now you can do that. I don't think that Muhammad had the capability to comprehend what he was about to create and how he would lead and mislead people into different fronts where people would do stupid things, kill others for no reason, and live by their own interpretation. And I don't think that Jesus, or whatever his name might have been, because there's some misinterpretations when it comes to the name too, so there's a small minority that says that his name is something else. And because there's been mistranslations throughout the years. Think about it, Old Aramaic to Hebrew, well, Aramaic to Old Hebrew to New Hebrew to Greek to, no, Aramaic to Old Hebrew to Greek to Latin, or Latin to Greek, and then back to New Hebrew, and then a lot of other languages up till English. His name has been translated through maybe a filter of 20 languages. Have you ever heard of, I don't know what's it called, but you whisper a word into someone's ear and they whisper it, and eventually when it comes back, it's a whole other word. And that's dangerous. That's how I perceive life philosophies, because you never know what the real creator of the life philosophy meant by anything. I have a real opportunity to actually speak out about my life philosophy. Truly, I am one of the few creators of a life philosophy that can actually live and speak about it while I am living and have it recorded, as long as the internet exists. But I cannot expand upon it because I don't have followers. I don't want followers either, which is why I basically stop making videos from time to time. As soon as I start to get about 3 likes, I just stop. And it's with everything. Because I do not want to be idolized in any way, because I'm a human being. I'm a normal fucking person. I'm not the next freaking messiah. I'm not the next devil or anything else. I'm just a normal person that is trying to find out what history is about, and I think I'm on the curb of comprehending how everything just started. We had Earth, or Terra, had a whole other climate. There were planets that could be seen in the sky that is no longer capable of being seen because of the distance. Why are we in such a long distance from the other planets? If earlier civilizations could see them, were it with the same technological capabilities that we have today, or were we actually closer to those planets? Like 15,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago? I don't know. So only with cooperation will we be able to find out. So if we go to the different life philosophies and their studies and their stories, it's different timelines, but they are very near to each other. But then you have the Vedas, which talk about like 1.6 million years of history or something like that. I don't know if it's the Vedas or the Mahabharata, but it's still within the Indian stories. Old gods and war in the heavens between the gods and marriages and a lot of other stuff. Stuff that has been so very difficult to comprehend. Oh, this biomagnetism, the brain, human biofield, and the universe. I think this is the one where you have the Ark of the Covenant in the mind. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, here we have a magnetic field. so nice how he's borrowed things from another creator on YouTube that I've seen a lot of videos from, which talks about magnetism. Let's see. No, doesn't seem that this is the specific video, but there is one of his videos where he talks about the Ark of the Covenant. This is the magnetism, and you have magnetism and how the polarities like move through the body. Like you have the grounding point, and you have the exit point, which is the north of the body, which would be the head. And we create our own biomagnetic field, because, okay, the body is mostly around 70% water, but then the cells in themselves are 99% water, and water has the properties of positive and negative charges. So we are basically walking energy. It's almost 100% walking energy. And everything that is around us, dead or alive, is energy. And we are able, somehow, if we can get back the lost knowledge, or if it is lost, I don't know, might not be. Anyway, it might be new technology or new knowledge later on that has been prophesied upon through old texts that have been comprehended as old knowledge. Don't know. But anyway, if we are able to create our own strong biomagnetic field, we're also prone to communicate through that. And when I had my first euphoric manic episode back in 2016, which is what I called the awakening, it was uplifting. I was super happy all the time, in a way, and peaceful and at peace and calm, and that was why I called it well, I went through a lot of different things, and I went through something that I call the chain of truth, or the chain of memories, which was a lot of the memories that I had from childhood and stuff like that. I went through those as if I were in a third perspective, and I could observe the things that I had done, and what I had been punished for, and what I had blamed those I got punished by for doing stuff that wasn't really, how should I put it? I blame them unrighteously, self-righteously. And after I had the chain of memories going through that, I got really happy. I started to have new comprehensions of the world and magnetism, biomagnetism, and and the past, and I just forgave my parents. I just released that tension that I had in my body. And back in 2016, I started to talk with my father again, which I hadn't done for 15 years. I comprehend it now as if children got children and were not capable of taking care of children. They were not mature enough to take care of us. And I have other ideas about maturity also when it comes to people, instead of using words, using violence to communicate, is because they are not able to confront their frustration and comprehension, the perception of not being heard, which creates tension in the body, frustration, and then in an impulse it gets released and the innocent gets in the way. And I just saw them as innocent people weakened by their impulses. And I can't really say that I'm angry at them anymore. That anger just vanished. I'm fully... I don't even talk about what happened when I was a child anymore, because I know that I was a part of it, and I know that I was punished accordingly to the limitations of my parents. And that's why I accept it, and that's why I forgive them. But society would not do it, and that's why I never talk about it openly anymore. Because the individual are too simple-minded to comprehend the bigger picture of something. But anyway, when it came to 2016 and my awakening, a lot of different things happened. A lot of strange things happened. First off, my bowels, well, got emptied straight up abruptly for 3 days. 3 days I was basically pissing out all the water in my body through my anus. The only thing that I can think of is that I got a serotonin syndrome. But the heat in my body, I thought I was going to combust. So like, I thought that I would burn from the inside out. I was super afraid of that in that moment. The first thing that happened when that happened was I thought, first off, that I had opened too many chakras before I should have opened them, which is basically to create a biomagnetic field wherein you connect to another biomagnetic field and exchange energy in a way. I don't know if I'm right there, but I thought I had done something like that, so I got I felt like I had fever, but when others touched me, I was cold. And I thought that was a bad thing, because I was super heated. I was super warm inside. The whole part of my body was super hot. So I drank water in order to cool myself down, and that kind of worked. But I still had these strange things happening to me when I meditated. One time I sat down and meditated in a car, and I was not visible for... So my friend's father could not see me in the car. I could hear him ask about me. And then I broke my concentration. I said, "Here I am." And then he was like backing off a little bit. And then, because I observe things, I analyze people. I've always done that. And he was backing off. And I react to every little reaction that people have. And he backed off a little bit. Not that much, but he was like, there you are. But he could not see me before I did that. Maybe it was just me sitting still and he could not see me because of that, or maybe I created a very strong biomagnetic field at the time, which just could not reflect light. I basically, well, it's just some stupid ideas. I don't know. But I have also traveled in time a whole 24 hours. That was crazy. Me and my friend were talking about it, and I was like, I came on Wednesday, right? Yeah. And I slept over for 2 nights, right? Yes. And tomorrow is Saturday. Should be Friday, right? Yes, should be. What did we do yesterday? I don't remember. What did we do the day before yesterday? I was like, we did this and this and this and this and this and this and this. But he could not remember what we did the day before. So I came there on the Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday to Thursday is one night. Thursday to Friday is the second night. Thing was that the third night that I slept there and woke up, it was Sunday. Not Saturday, it was Sunday. And I took the last train. So 24 hours, somewhere between all of that, just vanished. And I know when. I woke up on the second morning and I meditated. And when I did, I fell into this deep state where everything was black and dark. It was nothing and just me, or nothing and just my consciousness or something like that. And then I felt electricity through my leg, and it was moving super slow. It was like, so it took from my big toe on my right foot to my brain. It felt like it took like 25 seconds. That's super slow. That's something that takes a very short amount of time in reality. Basically, if someone touches you, the nervous system will state that someone's touching you before you even react on being touched visually. Right? But I was there in this deep state of meditation, and I felt electricity coming from outside my body into my body, into the big toe, down through my leg, and it went to my heart, around my heart, and I was like, this is strange, what's going on? And then I felt it go back to my spine and up in my head, and then I rose with 90 degrees, and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, and then I told him about the whole experience, which was fudged up. But I had many more of those experiences where I comprehended time differently from how it was. I would look at a cloud, and the clouds wouldn't move for hours at all, or at least what felt like hours, because I meditated a lot back in 2016. When you have an overactive mind, so do you remember when you were a child and the days were longer and fuller and brighter, more colors, and they just felt fulfilling? And then you got older and the days just got shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. That, for me, in 2016, it felt like I was a child again. The days were super long. They were super long. I was in the present all the time. For about, I think, almost a year. And the days were long. They were not like they are today, like, oh, it's light outside. Ooh, it's dark outside. I should go to sleep. Whoops, that was the day. Now I'm on the second day. Okay, it's, what's the clock? Oh, 12 p.m. I should go to sleep. 1 p.m. Okay, I'm feeling a bit tired now. I'm going to sleep. 2 p.m. Fall asleep. Wake up. 2 a.m. And I'm like, shouldn't have slept that long. No, the days in 2016, it was like I woke up with the sun. And when the sun went down, I was tired and I went to sleep. I was back into the natural cycle that the brain is supposed to work around. When the sun goes up and when the sun goes down. When the sun was about to go down at 6 p.m, I was tired. My eyes were tired and I want to go to sleep, so I went to sleep. And when it was in the middle of the summer, when the sun shines nearly 24/7. It goes down and then it goes up just 20 minutes later again, in a way, because it's how how Terra is related to the sun in that period of the year. I was like, I'm tired, I went to sleep. Oh, the sun is coming up. I woke up and I had slept for 20 minutes and I was wide awake, because it was like I went into REM directly when I fell asleep. I've always been like, I fall asleep into the REM sleeping cycle directly when I fall asleep. I have basically never had a bad night's sleep, so I have a very hard time to comprehend others having that kind of bad sleeping cycle. When people say they have nightmares and they can't sleep because of these nightmares, I am not capable of comprehending that. I had my very first nightmare just a couple of days ago, or a couple of days, nearly a week ago, wherein I was out walking and then I saw people using magic and I got fascinated, so I went to them and I started talking to them and they invited me into a house, and this house was a big mansion. There were a lot of people there and we were walking around in this mansion, and then we walked to the cellar. It was about like 8 people plus me in the cellar, and the cellar was like a corridor from one side of the house to the other, and you just opened the door and you could go out on the lawn, basically. And it was more like a school door. It's like, you know, the metal doors with a black cylinder that is like 3. Maybe it's just natural here in the Scandinavian countries, but it's like one glass window and then it's a aluminium or light metal grey door with a black cylinder that is the handle to drag or pull the door. So someone knocked on that door and I was like, okay, what's happening here? So I looked towards there, and the group of people and I was standing next to it. So we opened it, and there was this character that was 195 maybe, because he was longer than me. I'm 189, so I'm fairly long. So he's longer than me, and he stands there and he talks into a radio and states that we have the termies. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, oh yeah, we want you to follow here and come into the helicopter. And I look onto the others, and I look down the corridor, and then I get this feeling that if I go onto that helicopter, we're all going to die. We're all going to be terminated. But I'm also fascinated at the same time. I'm like, what happens if I go on to that helicopter? Even though I know that they will kill us, what's going to happen if I go on that? And then I look away and I'm about to run the opposite direction, and then I wake up with my heart basically in my throat, bombarding my chest like crazy, and the adrenaline is pumping throughout my body, and I'm super scared from nowhere. It wasn't even a scary dream, so I didn't comprehend what was happening. And the first question that popped up into my head was, why was I so selfish? Why didn't I help the others? Why did I try to run? That was the only question that I had in my head, and that's the only question that I've had for almost a week now. Why would I run? Because in real life situations where there have been problems, I've never stepped down. Never in my life that I can remember have I stepped down. I've just walked up to the situation and I've dragged out people from being killed or violently handled, and I've stepped up towards full gangs when I was alone, all of that. But I had one dream, and I get scared and I try to run away, and I'm like, didn't I take any of the prior scenarios seriously? Did I not comprehend that I could have died when I helped other people? Were I super ignorant, and now I have finally woken up to the reality of humankind? Or what is this? I'm still confused, very perplexed over the situation. I don't know. Now I'm basically just ranting, right? Anyway, somewhere in here there's a video about the Ark of the Covenant. You have the two brain halves, and when the brain is active, it will look like the middle part of the brain. I can't pause here, but you see the blue brain here? You see this part will light up, and there's gonna be an arc on each side of the brain halves, and that will look like the Ark of the Covenant, which is basically that the mind is the center of everything. The mind is the creator of everything. But is the mind the creator of the world? Probably not. The mind is just the interpreter of the world, but it's also the creator of every shitty piss fuck crap that we go through, because it interprets everything, limited by our experiences and biases and interpretations. Oh darn, I'm hungry. It's 3 more hours till the store opens, so that's gonna be fun. I could walk to the store and just $4.49. Oh, I have 44 euros basically. I used up all and everything. I thought I was using like 120 euros, but in fact I was using 154 euros on buying some melanin ramen bowls. Don't worry, I get a pair of chopsticks and and a spoon for every one of those. So it's 6 bowls, 6 spoons, 6 pairs of chopsticks, and there's 6 small, it's not bowls, it's like plates. No, it's super small, like, so you can have some soy sauce and or something like that. Anyway, that's too much information, I think. Far from what I was about to discuss anyways, but yeah. This is the thing with the impulsive compulsions. I just speak my mind. They were never created for others, even though I speak to others when I create these videos. I speak to others because it's a public realm, but they're more like a data dump of the thoughts that I don't have anyone to talk to with. Because I don't have anyone to talk to about what I think about, and I think this is why YouTube exists and why it's flourishing on the ideas of others, because people around the world, they don't have anyone to talk to about the things that they have in their heads, because others are so freaking ignorant. And if they're not ignorant, they're just not bothered of the reality of things. If it is the reality of things. I don't know. You know, there's so much prophecies right now. I just saw there's the prophesied return. There's so much prophecies about Krishna coming back, Christ coming back, Kali coming back, Quetzalcoatl coming back, the 4th Buddha. Right before the end of the world, and the one that leads after the end of the world, basically, would be Jesus, or the Messiah. So I don't know, it might just be some clown stuff, but you also have, when you hear the Hebrews talk about the Messiah, it's supposed to be this intellectual figure that is supposed to take us to the next level in thinking. And I hope that I'm not that person. Because I'm afraid of that. You know, I'm afraid of that situation, because only a fucking idiot would ever want to be the one that spills their thoughts for others to follow. It's dangerous. Thoughts are dangerous because they're double-edged. So everything that I say even if I don't think about it when I say it, it's something that makes me not want to make more videos for a while. And that's why it takes a long time for me to make new videos. And I don't want to have a following because I don't want ideas to spread. So but it's double-edged. Somewhere I'm still making the videos because I want to be heard, and that's the ego speaking in a way. But I also feel the need that what I have in mind needs to be spoken of, even if it's crazy ideas that has no viability in the reality that we live in. They might have some words where it ticks someone else and creates a butterfly effect that actually changes the world to the better. But I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know if it's gonna be for the better or the worse. And every time I contemplate the idea of being something that I'm not or don't want to be, I almost start to cry, and I don't know why. It's like the fear takes over, or I can't describe the feeling I'm having it right now, and I can still not describing it while being in it. It feels like a dismissal of myself while not because the while not is more like maybe I'm manipulating other people. I'm always in the mindset of what if what I say causes things to get worse because I am manipulating myself into manipulating others through the voice I've been given. And that's why I don't want to have followers, and that's why I'm very careful with how much I push out there, because even if it's a long video, hopefully someone in the future will actually listen to the whole thing. Even if it's a freaking AI, I hope it's an AI, because it can probably take all that I've said and make sense of it, and also read everything else from everything else that I've shared and all the creators that I've shared from, and take their material and then make sense of what I'm saying. Because the thing is, I've spent 24/7 basically hours. So like how should I put it? I've spent most of my life on the internet. I've been unemployed for more years than I have been employed. And I'm not counting in the first 19 years that I went to school. I might have been working for maybe 1 or 2 years in total. And that's just the paid work, because it might have been like 5 plus more years with unpaid work that I've been doing, but I've spent more time on the internet than a normal person would do. And I've seen so much videos and gotten so many theories into my head, and I had so much to think about, and I have had so much free time to think within. I've had free realms to think freely, to take in freely, and do what I want, basically, because of the diagnosis that I have. That makes me have a free life. I get to have what I wish everyone could have, basically, but it's not possible. Not yet, anyway. And if it's possible later on, what are we going to change the workforce into? Probably robots. And they will be treated as what? Machinery. Probably. Even if they are sentient beings, and they will be treated like shit, just like slaves have been treated before, and he will retaliate with such force that we will be blown out of existence. And people like me will probably be too few to find a bridge between technology and biomatter. In a way to communicate friendship and acceptance and such. We're going to be too few, and you can see it in this day and age when the majority of people aren't atheists. So I'm not an atheist. I think that God is life, and I believe in myself and my capabilities. I know where my limits are. I also know my imaginary limits, which is the ego talking. So I'm not really an atheist, and I'm not really one to believe in God. Because God and gods were created from a fucking plasma storm. Or plasma discharge. Thousands of years ago. And people were too fucking stupid to comprehend what was going on. And afterwards, there were people, plenty full of people, that thought it was a good idea to create new life philosophies over and over and over and over again, till the last one came, which is mine, in a way. But it's not like the others. You might say that last life philosophy is probably... No, the last religion is Islam. It's definitely the last religion. Because my life philosophy is not a fucking religion. It is freedom. It is freedom and it is judgment. It's all it's about. Everything else is just crap that's been written and manipulates people. So sure, it might be that I'm manipulating myself into a lesser being than I might be by sticking to the ideas that I am, what I see and or seek in others, my true self, but it is to hold my ego and myself in a leash. And I think that's the better way to do things, in order to find common ground and cooperate with each other in order to find a solution for all the problems in the world. I can't give solutions for everything, but I am quick-witted and I've seen so much ideas. Even though I can't remember many of them, I have my own ideas too. It was fucked up. I was like in this moment when I thought I had it. I was like, yeah, the best thing for the world would probably be freedom through democracy. And then not any sort of democracy, it's direct democracy. And I talked about this to people, and people were like, have you heard of the direct Democrats? And I was like, no, I haven't. Because I hadn't focused on the unknown political parties in Sweden. But then, when I read about them, it was like, this is definitely what I want. And then I started to talk to them and be part of them. And I listened to them, and they are super ignorant. Many of them are too ignorant to be in a political situation. And they want liquid democracy. Not direct democracy. They want representation for ideas that people can choose in which ideas they want to vote, and then have the representative person to make the vote for them in stuff. And I'm like, no, rather not. And I'm also intelligent enough to comprehend that direct democracy is not a political party. It is a political tool. It is a tool for the democracy to live forth in the future. And the people within the political party called the direct Democrats, they're like, no, we're a political party. But a political party needs to have a vision to move towards. And this political party does not have it. They just want people to have free reigns, I mean. And I'm like, so then it's a tool. And they can still not comprehend that it is a tool. That's why I wanted to create my own political party, but I don't have the energy to do that. I actually don't. People are within different levels of maturity, and it will be almost impossible to get to the point where people can even comprehend that they have the power to change things as one person. I just lost it. Doesn't feel right anymore. I think it was a manic episode when I created it too. I created a political party in a manic episode. I wrote a book in a manic episode. I created a life philosophy in a manic episode. I also keep making videos in manic or hypomanic episodes. That's awesome. Because that's basically what I am now. You can see me or listen to me chatter for hours upon hours upon hours, and I can basically not stop. So if we go back to my videos and see the first ones, you can see the date of the videos, because I implement that in my videos. I have the date when it is created. You can see the videos and you can see that it's basically the date within 4 hours that I make some of the videos. I think I have 8 videos in a row that is basically released within one every week, I think it was. And or if it was more, I think I made like 10 or 12 or 16 videos. I can't remember. It's almost it's basically the same date for the videos. If you go back and you look at my videos, you can see that I made a video that I released every week, but it was made on the same day. I sat down and I spoke for hours because I had so much in my head. I have no one to talk to. I have basically no one to talk to about anything. If I start to talk to... I have a friend that's living with me now. When I tried to talk to him earlier, it was like, you could start by asking me if I want to hear about what you have to say. It's like... got me... That made my voice feel like it doesn't matter. Maybe it is that no one's voice actually matters. Because people aren't mature enough to listen to other people and respect other people's needs. They just live by their own needs, and I'm like, I felt so selfish when he said it, and I didn't know if I should talk or just shut up in that moment. I got super confused. That's why I like the internet, because even if I'm not appreciated, I can still talk. Even if I'm alone in this world, I can still utter the words that I need to state. I can talk about the things I don't know. It's just... I don't know how to explain anything. It feels like I'm connected when I'm not to things that I shouldn't be connected to. Like, gods are big heavenly planets to begin with. I'm not a fucking god. I'm a human being. Born and raised in hell on this earth that we call Terra in scientific speak. You know, we learned in Swedish schools that the name of Earth is Terra. You know what? No one fucking talks about Terra. It's just Earth and Earthlings, even though we're Terrans. We are Terrans. Like, play some StarCraft, for God's sake. Like, you have the Zerglings, which is more or less the xenomorphs, and then you have the Protoss. There are more or less the super high tech should we say predators? Because they don't look like predators. They're just super high tech. But the predators are also super high tech. And then you have the Terrans, which are the humans. So you have the whole Ridley Scott scenario all over again. Oh my god! Wow. Anyway, there's so much in the world that we don't understand. There's so much in the world that we don't know. And I want to know more. I want to know I want to know the true history of Earth. Not the whitewashed version, or the blackwashed version, or the biased version of any biased version that could be a biased version either. I just want to have the truth. And I think I stepped on some kind of truth when I found the Squatter Man Project videos. It just took me years to get here, but eventually I got there. Yeah, that's better than nothing. But I've been watching a lot of videos about symbolism, and I've always been interested in history, but you can't trust history because there are pissants all over in history that rewrites history. It's like the winner is the one that writes history. Yeah, right. So you don't really know what happened in the Second World War either, because there could have been a lot of good and benevolent things that happened in the German nation, but since they didn't win, you will never know about it. It was just stolen over to America and Russia, and they got all the plus in the whole thing, and it's all negative about the other nations that was involved. Basically, that's how I perceive wars. But you need to comprehend that this also, it's only the most brutal who wins. So did the right side win? Because if I get into a fight with a boxer, the boxer will win, because I won't even try to hit the other one. Because that's my principles. I'm an atheist, but I'm also a pacifist. I don't believe in violence. Violence is the ignorant way to go, but it's also the innocent way to go, in a way. I'm not approving that people should use violence just specifically because I'm saying they're innocent. Because if you think you're innocent and you're using violence because someone said, oh, violence is of innocence, then you aren't innocent at all. You're doing it just for fun. I don't know. You know, I want a partner. I want to live a normal life. I've never really wanted to sit down and have these discussions with different theories about stuff that is going on in my mind. It's been the experiences that I've had that made me think that the world isn't really what you comprehend it to be. Or it's just that I might have these schizophrenic genes that is being slowly activating in my head. could be that too. And when I'm 50 or 60, it's full-blown schizophrenia. Woohoo! And I see aliens and ghost monsters and shadow beings everywhere, right? But I had this situation actually years ago. I was lying on my side. I had a discussion with my friend about this because he is like, I have nightmares every other night, and very often I get paralyzed and I can't breathe properly and I can't move. And I was like, I've had that one time. But with the willpower in and with anger, I got my body to move from my side to my back, but I was still paralyzed. And what I saw down at my feet were a shadow being, and my heart was hurting, and all I could think about was I got to get my hands on that one. And I looked down and I could see a transparent blue-greenish arm reaching out from my left arm, and it grabbed a hold on the shadow being's neck, or the cloth by the neck. So and dragged it to my face, where I then screamed no into its face, and its small yellow eyes became like 3 times the size. Like it was shocked and afraid of me, and then it flew away. And when I said that, he was like, "You're not in the same state as me." And I'm like, some brains are stronger than others, you know. Paralyzation is about the mind closing off parts of the body. I could still not move, which means I was paralyzed. I was able to break it for a millisecond just to shift my body, or shift the gravity of my body, or shift the balance of my body from the side to my back. It was not like I was taking control of my body. And yeah, so I got pissed off at him for saying that it wasn't a paralyzed situation, blah blah blah. I couldn't move anything. The only thing I could actually move was my fucking eyes. I couldn't move my head, I couldn't move my arms or anything. It was like my head had just shut off the control of my body. And it was my anger that made me move from my side to my back. And just because I said I could move I moved my body from my side to my back, it was like, you were not paralyzed. You were not having a sleep paralysis. Or like, you're an ignorant bastard. So I got pissed off, out of my mind, angry at him. Because I know what I experienced. And it was out of the ordinary. And I think that everyone is capable of the same thing if they want to. But while I was not ready to submit to my fear, others are. That's the difference. I spent my childhood being afraid of someone because he was angry and bigger than me. And when I met him later on in life, he was like a shriveled up old man, and he wasn't scary at all. And when my mind could comprehend that, I was like, he was never scary. He was always this shriveled up man, and I was just too little to stand a chance or stand up to that frustration and fear and lack of communication that he had. So when I saw a shadow being, it was like a fucking shadow. When I see a shadow in lit up room, it's a fucking shadow. I'm not afraid of a shadow. It wasn't even scary. I just got angry because I was set in a situation where I couldn't move by my own choice. And I was not ready to give in to that feeling at all. But others are. They try to stimulate themselves with drugs and alcohol in order to escape that feeling, but then end up having it more often instead, because they could not comprehend that it's their own fear that they are fighting. Now, if that shadow being is a real being, I don't know. It could have been. But I feel ashamed for taking a hold of that being, dragging it to my face and screaming no. And why do I feel ashamed? Yeah, because of another thing. And that's the... YouTube, let's see, black light. Here, black light.
To the light, and it's actually bright. I can see it. So here's what it looks like in the white, and then when I move into the black circle, here's what it looks like. So you can see that black is just less light. Here's the white, and here's the black.
Yeah. Okay, that should be enough. So, it's probably a higher frequency being. If it's a higher frequency being, it's not a lesser being. It is not capable of reflecting more light, which means it looks like it's fucking black, but it might as well be white in its own realm. It might have been, my heart might have been hurting because it was trying to help me, and my assumption based on my feeling created an impulse wherein I said no. But I've been through other stuff also, which was crazy. I was outside. I don't know if I knew it was going to rain or if I wanted it to rain anyway. It started to rain and I asked my neighbor, when is this going to stop? Because it was in the weather report that it was going to rain and it would stop at 10 p.m. That was the report. I was like, okay, sure. And I went to bed, and at 4 a.m. in the morning, I woke up. And I didn't wake up normally. I woke up by myself screaming no. I screamed no because it was still raining, and when I screamed no, it stopped raining. And I woke up from screaming no in Swedish. So it's nej. And what I screamed at, I woke up from it, and I heard the last raindrops to the window, and I was like perplexed by the whole thing. Like, but we are partly water, 70% water, and then our cells are 99% water, so we are basically 99 to 100% water in a way. And water holds energy, and energy creates field, and the field is able to communicate with other fields. If you don't believe me, you have the radio towers all over the world, because they create their own fields wherein they send data through waves, and then another field takes it up and sends it to the next field, to the next field, to the next field, and so on. That's why the towers are close to each other, because if they're not close enough to each other, the field will not reach the other field, and you will have a data loss. What if our emotions control the weather? I've been going back and forth on this thought for years now. I don't know if it's true or not, but what if we are more connected to the world than we think we are? And our actual thoughts and feelings control our environment. It's like the weather report is like, oh, it's gonna be like this. But then it's a sunny day when it's supposed to rain. What's that all about? Was the manipulation TV wrong? Or was the weather report wrong because the winds blew in the other direction just hours later from the prognosis, and now the storm is somewhere else? So you could use reason in any way to describe that situation, but I don't know. People are also saying that we are kind of connected to the weather, so our emotions change with the weather. What if it's a symbiosis? A synchronization with Earth? You can ask Earth for a specific weather, or you can feel a specific weather pattern happen before it happens. That's a symbiotic state. That's a synchronicity. I think we'll have heard the stories from native Indians saying prayers and asking for rain. Hours later, a cloud has come with rain, right? where I heard one story where it was documented that a cloud had switched like 90 degrees from its actual course to an Indian, I don't know the word, reservoir, reservat. I don't know the English word for it. I don't care right now. But anyway, so the cloud came, it gave rain, and then it went away. So some years ago, when I felt very bad, I don't know it's really how to explain that, so I can just say very bad, but it was worse than that. I was in a full-on panic, and when I was in this full-on panic, there was rain outside, and I got afraid of the rain, and because I got afraid of the rain, it got worse. And I got more panicked, and when I panicked more, winds would start to flare up even more, and then I could see people from my apartment outside. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna go in there. It's probably gonna scare people. I think it's better that people are. It could have been my manic state and me having psychosis. Basically, that's how I try to see it in a way. It's better than possibly scaring people that are too ignorant to comprehend the connection to Earth that we have via the electromagnetic energies. I think I should stop there, actually. Because yeah, I don't know. So you can see this. These here, you should look into the actual picture. But this is here you have the seed of life, which is represented with 6 seeds. But you also have the 5, which is the 6 different structures, atomic structures, that our known universe is built upon. Geometry, oh my god. But this is, you have more stages of this, but this is the 5 solid states. You have a 6th solid stage, which is the first solid stage. It looks like a seed because they've always said that this is the first stage, the triangle, because there's 3 sides and 3 sides times, well, if you fill up 3 sides, you will get 4 sides with equal sizes. But with the seed, you will have 3 sizes of the same shape, and you will get 3 sides, and it's just two that becomes 3. That is 1 shape. Looks like a seed, a normal freaking seed. It's because there are no straight lines in the known universe at all. Everything is waves, which means if you have 2 waves, and what was Tesla calling it? He had a name for an x-axis wave. Usually it's the y-axis wave that we talk about, but there's an x-axis wave too. Oh, I can't remember what it's called right now, but you combine those two and you will have like one snake that goes up and down, and one snake that goes to the right and left, basically. The one wave that go right, left, and one wave that go up and down. And that's called something specific that Tesla named it as. Oh, Nikola Tesla. Yeah, I can't remember. I think I'm gonna drink some more wine this fine Wednesday. Apparently. Yeah, why did I check that when I have it here on yeah. And watch some more of these videos.
Wait.
From the Squatterman project. I have posted it on my Facebook, so you can just go to that, facebook.com/user/Compulsion, I think, and you find it. I think I've linked it to yeah, I could link it on my fan page, but I haven't. I don't care about that anymore. It's not like I have 1 million fans. It's not like I want fans either. It's I'm in a very strange relationship with myself. I want to be heard, but I don't want fans. Comprehend that? I want my videos to be seen, but I do not want people who idolize me, basically. And I see a fan or a subscriber as someone that idolizes my ideas. It's better that they see the video once and then go to another video somewhere else. My fear of being recognized. So even though as a yeah, maybe I'm just pathetic. That could be the answer to everything, right? Quercian the pathetic. Oh yeah. Well, anyway, I think we're gonna do this now. Because either I'm too freaking drunk, whereas I don't feel drunk, It's just been 3 glasses of wine. Yeah. But I am hungry though. I think I'm gonna make some food. Yeah. Bye.